Hi, welcome to our session today. Our session is called Why Integration is Critical to Real-Time Decision Making. I'm Shampa Chaudhary, Director of Product Marketing, responsible for our integration product. And we have Greg Coates today. Greg.
Yeah, hi, Sampa, and welcome everyone. My name is Greg Coates. I'm Director of Product Management for Integration, and I'm primarily concerned with Data Connect.
Sounds great. So why is integration so critical in real-time decision making? I'm going to walk you through some slides and give you a preview of our solutions. So what you see on this slide is an overview of Actian solutions. Actian, as you know, has been around for a while. We have hybrid data solutions that are meant to address the needs of data-driven enterprises. We have three core go-to-market solutions. One is data warehouse modernization, a real-time connected data warehouse, edge-to-cloud data warehouse. Underneath these solutions are actually powered by these four Actian offerings and services. We have analytics database, we have enterprise data integration, we have transactional database, and edge data management. And all these solutions are integrated into an Avalanche integrated platform, which is hybrid. You can deploy it on public cloud, multi-cloud, private cloud, as well as on-premise. We have unified connectivity, authoring and management, and obviously and its enterprise class performance with security and scaling. Right now, I'm going to do a double click on each of these core solutions. When we talk about data warehouse modernization, it's essentially a migration play where you can migrate your on-premise legacy data warehouse into a modern data warehouse that can be deployed on-premise, in the cloud, or multiple clouds. Avalanche Cloud Data Warehouse really allows you to migrate and offload your existing enterprise data warehouse until it can be retired in a managed fashion according to your time frame and your terms. And it really allows you to choose the best path that makes sense for you, whatever your deployment options are. And it allows you to do it in a seamless architected hybrid fashion. For this particular session, we're going to go a little bit deeper on real-time connected data warehouse. This solution really enables you to quickly and easily load diverse data on any on-premise SaaS application into a cloud data warehouse called Avalanche. This is really the world's fastest data warehouse. It powers real-time analysis and allows you to take rapid action on your data. It really allows you to improve customer experience and increase revenue by delivering personalized experiences using the freshest data. And with edge to cloud data warehouse, you can modernize your edge and application data processing and analytics with Zen embedded device and gateway database. So as I'd mentioned earlier, why integration is so critical in real-time decision making. We are living in really unprecedented times of market uncertainty. In today's challenging economic environment, it is imperative for enterprises to rethink their data requirements and strategy. It is more critical than ever for enterprises to get more value out of the data. Integration of data from diverse sources is critical in any real-time decision making. Data that can be ingested quickly, transformed, and made available for real-time decision making will be key for survival and success during these unprecedented times. And Avalanche is the first and only cloud data warehouse that has integrated native integration capabilities that comes included in this holistic offering. You have real-time analytics that is optimized to deliver superior price performance at scale. You only pay for what you use. I talked about superior integration capabilities that are brought to bear through the Data Connect platform. You can design, deploy, manage, and repair integrations from a single pane of glass. Real-time data ingestions really allows you to realize quick time to value. It's also a very flexible solution. You can seamlessly deploy and manage your integrations, whether it's on-premise, private cloud, or public cloud. And because it is delivered by Actian, and these products belong to Actian, it ensures seamless interoperability. A single vendor solution really lowers your risk, it lowers your complexity, and it also allows you to deliver the solution in a more accelerated fashion. Why is it so important? So I talked about real-time decision making. You really need a real-time connected data warehouse to address the analytical use cases, but you also need data connect, which really allows you to connect or ingest data from various data sources. And it's all built into holistic solutions. And that really is meant to address real-time analytics use cases going forward. As you can see on this slide, right, businesses are really going through digital transformation. They need an agile integration solution that can address the needs of all these four quadrants that you see on the slide. On the left-hand side, you have different integration personas tackling integration. You need to address the needs of diverse endpoints, whether it's on-premise, cloud, mobile, IoT, you name it. And you need to address different integration patterns like real-time application integration, data consistency, migrations, business-to-business integration. Now you have process automation and streaming data. And uh, your deployment models are changing, right? Your data could be on premise, it could be on cloud, in a hybrid solution, or it could be embedded in different applications. So in order to address the needs of today's digital enterprises, you really need a hybrid integration platform that can address the needs of these four different dimensions. We believe Actin Data Connect is very suitable to address these needs. It really allows you to empower anyone to integrate anything, anywhere, anytime. Now, what do we mean by that? When you empower more users within your organization to be self-sufficient, your people become more valuable. And your business doesn't have to wait in line for IT backlogs to shrink, which never really happens. On the other hand, the number of apps and data sources will continue to proliferate within an organization. You would always need to connect to different apps and data sources on a daily basis. Actian Data Connect platform with its universal patented technology called as Universal Connect brings in a consistent methodical approach to tackle them by providing access to entire catalog of connectivity without charging on a per connector or a per connection basis, which I think is very important in today's day and time. And you can deploy your integrations wherever they reside, whether you want to host it in your virtual private cloud or a public cloud or on premise, or you want to deploy it in Actian's own data cloud. Oh, by the way, you can also deploy it in embedded solutions. It's a very flexible and versatile platform that allows you to take advantages of cloud resources when you want and continue to use your on-premise resources when you need it. And finally, you should be able to run and orchestrate your integrations anytime based on your need. You can run and orchestrate your integrations on demand. You can schedule it. It's event-driven or from API for synchronous or asynchronous real-time automation. Again, in this context, it's a very repeatable and consistent approach to address any of the integration patterns as it grows within an organization. And it is meant to address all of the use cases that you may have for integration. Now let's talk about the different flavors of Data Connect platform. The way the different flavors are designed, if you will, is based on how you're deploying your runtime engine. The first graphic that you see here illustrates Actian Data Connect iPaaS, which is powered by Actian Avalanche, formerly known as Data Cloud. It really allows you to manage your integrations in the cloud. iPaaS securely allows you with last mile agent connectivity and runtime for on-premise data delivery. And it also allows you to do cloud-to-cloud integrations. When you look at Actian Data Connect integration platform, it really allows you to leverage your own infrastructure and enables you to take full operational control of your runtime environment. When you talk about Actian Data Connect Inside, it's basically embedded integration, and it really allows you to embed Data Connect within your own application stack using either SDK, REST APIs, and you're able to manage it through Integration Manager. So now Greg would cover Data Connect in greater detail. Greg, over to you. Take it away.
Yeah, I will. Thank you again, Champa. That was a very good setup. Before I get into too much detail, I want to just give a real quick history lesson here, a bit of a walk down memory lane, but it won't take a long time. I just wanted to make sure that people who have heard of us under different names, both the product and the company, were somewhat familiar so they could connect the dots here along the way. But the original incarnation of the product, at least when I got involved, was Data Junction, and that was the name of the product and the name of the company as well. And what was really cool about that at the time was it was a first graphical user interface for transformation mapping that was brought to the market. So that was pretty cool. And then Pervasive acquired Data Junction, and we renamed the product Data Integrator. And that was really at the advent of version 9 there in 2007 that you can see. And shortly after that, we started working with cloud and on Amazon AWS in particular, and we built our first generation data cloud. And so that was also effectively our first generation iPaaS. And we hosted the solution on that particular platform. And then when version 10 came out a few years later, it was full hybrid at the time. And it was, we hosted it ourselves on Data Cloud, but we also had an on-prem installer package configuration that people could download and install themselves in their own network. And then Actian acquired Pervasive, and right about that time, we renamed the product to Data Connect. So that was in 2013. And then a few years after that, HL Technologies and Sumero Equity Partners purchased Actian and allowed us to continue to operate independently and with our own board of directors. And that was also about the time we had released version 11, which was, again, a new architecture. But the interesting thing here was while it was cloud first principles all the way, but we decoupled the design tools so that they would be a little bit more nimble and flexible for integration specialists. And the runtime platform that I'll get into in a minute, still we have hosted as a service on our cloud, or it can be installed in your own virtual private cloud, or you can install it locally on bare metal, as the saying goes. So that was just a little bit of history. And then again, hopefully, for those of you who don't know anything about Data Connect yet, let me just give you kind of a quick walkthrough of how you interact with the various components. The first thing that you do is build something. And the users who work with the design tools, they build transformation maps and workflows, process workflows that using business rules and what we call an event condition action model. And that just basically means when you encounter an event and there's a condition one way or the other, then you perform some type of action. And then after they design those things, they package them up into portable files that then they deploy to the runtime environment. And then typically a different user who's not necessarily doing design, but they usually are supporting these ongoing runtime environments. So it'd be like a support or an IT type of person would configure the integration package and then run it and monitor it in that runtime environment. And so that's the workflow, or how the users interact at a high level. These are the actual interfaces that they work with. And so the first one here on the left is the design studio. And it's an IDE, we use that term a lot. It basically just means integrated design environment. And it's an interactive tool that allows you to immediately see the results of your work. And that's because it's actually processing as you're designing. So you give it an instruction and you can hit the run button or the validate button and get some immediate feedback. So you can get a lot of things developed fully and tested fully before you even deploy them to the runtime environment in the first place. And the second column that's labeled templates, those are like prepackaged designs that are then put into those portable packaged files. We ship some ourselves that are built by Actian, Users can build their own and make them reusable as well. They're highly reusable because of the configuration aspect here. And that configuration is done on Integration Manager. So that's the third column. And that's just a web browser. You can use your web browser as a client and hit all of the integrations that you have access to or you're authorized to, and you can configure them, do scheduling, set up listeners that will trigger those integrations automatically and that sort of thing. And what Integration Manager does is it effectively manages all of those runtime engine instances that are taking place when the processing of the integration is done. So it's more than just a scheduler, and a lot of people kind of default to that, but it's a orchestration platform, if you will, and it being Integration Manager, again, managing all those engines, either through the UI and scheduling, or even through the REST API that it provides to users who want to build client software and interact with the integrations more dynamically. So I'm going to drill into Integration Manager a little bit here, and this is maybe to talk about some of the administration and scalability issues or options here. So let me just point out a couple of things here. Again, the Studio Designer is a desktop app, and it's so easy to administer. You just download it, install it, and you're up and running in minutes. And you can work out of your own environment, so it just leverages your existing network resources. And the default configuration for Integration Manager can also be installed on-prem really quickly too. It's not a huge footprint. It's a server-based software package though, and it'll start a few services that then run to enable the web browser, for instance, and then also some of the other additional services like the file listener and the HTTP listener are all provided by the Integration Manager stack as well. And then it's pretty easy to set up those additional features too. Really, the easiest way to do it is if you want to do it manually, just think of a configuration file or a conf file that you go in and you edit a few lines and then restart the service and it's up and running. But because of that, that means you can also programmatically, or you can write batch scripts, if you will, to modify and stand up server instances. And the only reason I bring that up is from a kind of a life cycle governance perspective. You can automate all aspects of Integration Manager, even from installation to deploying the integrations and configuring them and running them and getting the history back. That can all be automated as well as be done through the user interface. And then, so let me talk about scalability here and high availability, which I guess is probably a better way to look at it. If you need to run more jobs than one at a time, and you just want to make sure that that job can run whenever it needs to, you can hook up an additional worker or two to the Integration Manager server. And all that means is you're effectively installing a subset of the Integration Manager stack onto another box that runs and then listens to the Integration Manager server and takes job requests from it. So if you think of it as a job queue that's on the Integration Manager server, then the workers really just go and look at that queue and they pull the next available request. And they'll process the job and send the results back to the server. And where that gets interesting is, and we talk about engine concurrency, or the number of engines you need to run. And that's really about supporting multiple various use cases. Or if you have a license that's entitled you to use one engine at a time, that basically means all the job requests go into a queue and they run one at a time, first in, first out. But if you had a 2-engine license, then you could run a batch job that might take 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And while that is running, you can have another real-time integration that's coming and it's running every time somebody submits a form from a web service or something like that. Or they click a button on a web page, it submits what's effectively becomes a request to that job queue, and it runs an integration that delivers data back to the web page. And again, do that at the same time the batch job is already running. And so you can just think of it that way. The more engine concurrency that you have, the more combinations and options you have for running jobs at the same time. For what it's worth, there's so much to talk about in Integration Manager. I wouldn't even know where to start. So I think the best thing to do here is at least just catch people up with what has come out in the last release or so. And a couple things, a couple of highlights here are the fact that the new API version 2.0, for instance, but that also supports asynchronous and synchronous jobs. And that was important because a lot of people wanted to do the fire and forget synchronous or asynchronous jobs rather, and just let the job request fill up, and it would then be depleted as engines were available. For more tightly integrated use cases, you want to more of a request response model, and so we also put the synchronous job support in there as well. Configuration aliasing is a really interesting one. That's it seems rather maybe not. It seems a little nebulous maybe, but it's actually all. If you think of web services, a lot of times you're working with an ID value. It might be a GUID or some long key that's just nothing but letters and numbers. And the aliasing scheme allows you to give it kind of a human readable name. And one of the big benefits of that is the fact that you don't have to track the ID specifically, and if you're on the client somewhere, if you're writing client-side code to trigger these integrations, then you don't have to worry about that ID value changing if the integration package that is supported by that particular configuration changes. So that way that the designers of the integration can change the config or the template IDs at any time, and the alias just continues to be accessible through the same mechanism. And it's also kind of cool that what they added was a way to generate keys for authentication against those specific integration APIs as well. The file listener is really cool, and a lot of people use that. The on-prem customers love it, but now you can even use it to trigger a job that runs on Data Cloud. So that's kind of cool as well. And then another usability feature that we added was the macro definition file is a list of runtime parameters for all practical purposes, but they tend to be more workspace level. And so you'll have a lot of macros in a workspace macro definition file that are not being used by any given integration. And so what this was a way to create a subset, a specific macro definition file to the integration package, and then it would be packaged, even jarred up inside of that package, so that when somebody uploaded it and created a configuration on the integration manager, then those macro values would automatically be populated. And so it really was helped to ease the handoff from a design user to those support or operations users that I talked about earlier. And then one other thing that's actually really cool too is that if you've heard of it before, Dataflow, I do have a slide here later, but so I'll go into a little bit more depth. But now you can run Dataflows just directly from Integration Manager in the same fashion that you do Data Connect integrations. So that's Integration Manager. Let me go here and give you kind of a quick update on the Studio and the engine. So these are kind of the core components. You have to design something before you can run it in Integration Manager. And again, this is the desktop design tool. So one of the cool things that was recently introduced were joins. And it basically allows you to build a map that uses two different source connectors, say ServiceNow and maybe an Oracle database table, and do what's like a SQL-like join just by clicking a few buttons. So you can see there left, right, inner and outer joins are basically button push operations. You don't write any SQL, but you get the results of what a SQL statement would otherwise provide. And it's almost, won't go so as far as to say this, but it'd be like a federated query in that you're actually doing that join from multiple different source systems. Map recommend was a pretty cool one also. It's a feature that I think we're going to be building on in the future to do a lot of interesting things. But it's an extension of what we already do for automatic mapping, which was match by name or match by position. So we now do fuzzy string matching. And so they'll find a similar look, not if the exact spelling isn't correct or isn't the same, it can still find matches that way. And that helps quite a bit. You can tune that also, so you can set it to like, you want 70% probability or 90, and that way you can help to narrow in on it a little bit better. But to me, the more important aspect of that whole feature and then now subsystem is the dictionary, because the users can now create what are effectively synonyms. So they might have a bunch of like a standardized data model in their organization, and they call all these different data elements a certain thing. You can enter those into the dictionary, and then as you encounter different fields from other source systems, say different field names from other source systems, then you can start to build up a library of those names that map directly to your approved corporate dictionary, if you will, your agreed upon data element names for the entire organization. And I say it's something we're going to build on, because what we're really looking to do is use that as some basic infrastructure to start to do more automation. So we can want to apply some AI and ML type technologies to that to see what we can do to help automatically build maps, and then extend that to process designs as well, hopefully. Which brings me to my next point, the templates. We have templates at just about every level now. We have design templates that are entire process. They can be a step, which means it probably has a series of components or scripting that you want to save and reuse. And then also at the component and object level, you can templatize those as well. So reusability is key to one of the user themes that we have in the product, and it will be for the next few years going forward. And some of that usability, the guided wizard is the next one that actually walks you through the entire process. A brand new user who's never seen the software before, after they install it and launch it, they can go through this wizard and know how to build, know how to create a new integration project, build a map that's wrapped by a process, and hit the run button and see results. And it's like literally take you about 3 minutes to walk through it and do something simple like an ASCII file or an Excel file to like an XML document or something like that. And then let's see, let me skip down to connectivity. We've had a big surge of cloud components that we just recently put out. So these are for the data lakes, cloud storage systems from the big three. And then we've also introduced Kafka's component to do reading and writing. And then another one that's going to open up, a lot of people use the ODBC driver for multiple purposes, but now with the JDBC connector, then it opens up the product to be able to point to and do data integration to many, many, many other databases. Now, let me give you a 1-minute explanation here of Dataflow. And it's something, it says reintroducing here on the slide because we've actually had it in the portfolio for quite some time, and we're starting to promote it and highlight it quite a bit nowadays. You'll see it under the Actian Avalanche Connect umbrella, but you also see it under the Data Connect umbrella, the integration products, because it's great for big data. It automatically parallelizes the processing. And so if you throw additional nodes or cores at the exact same design, it just automatically scales and takes advantage of the extra processing power. And it uses a slightly different user interface. It's a KNIME workbench, but I think what I feel about that is that it's the same in type of environment, same type of application as our regular Data Connect users are used to. So there really won't be that much of a shift in mindset if you go from one tool to the other. But also, truth be told, they're usually for different use cases. So you don't often have to do things in both at the same time. You're usually one or the other. And in many cases, they're different personas who are using them as well. But it's pretty interesting. And here, let me give you a little bit of a comparison and contrast maybe to Data Connect. So if you think Data Connect for typical ETL, Shapa mentioned earlier, data consistency, migration, and app integration, that sort of thing. That's where Data Connect shines. And it also shines with small to medium-sized data sets. So you won't necessarily use it for big data, but you can do bulk loading for big data sets if you do some splitting and parallelizing of the jobs. And so you can design it in, that's all well and good. But if you do a lot of that, you might want to look at Dataflow instead. And you can use it for analytics pipelines, but primarily think of Data Connect as your data integration tool. But you can still do data prep and standardization, enrichment, and all that good stuff. Then if you're looking at profiling specifically and some analytics, then Dataflow is actually might be something that you should take a look at. It has some automatic kind of out-of-the-box components that do quality metrics. So if you point it to a data set and you'll see like the number of null values you have in every column or something like that, and data type issues and the like. And it also has some operators that do matching and deduplicating of records. And so those are like really processor and memory intensive types of operations. And Dataflow, because of its inherent parallelism, that's where it can really shine. It's good for more of the data scientist users because it does a lot of analytics right out of the box as well. So you can see a kind of a list here. But you can do decision trees and that sort of thing, and clustering and regression. So you can actually do some of the model training and then running the models themselves to get the results that way. And then last but certainly not least, it has a few connectors that are more specialized, and usually more, you think of them as in the big data world. And you can see there that it has out-of-the-box readers and writers for Avro or Parquet and MDF. So that may be something, again, that you're more interested in if you encounter those file types, if you have a more data science type of use cases as part of your integrations. And then you want to get some of the additional data quality capabilities out of Dataflow that you can still do in Data Connect, but it probably would require a little bit more effort and a little bit more expertise. So let's bring this whole thing full circle here and put Data Connect back here in the middle to show you how it can help with real-time decision-making by being part of a data warehouse. So again, any type of connectivity on the left-hand side, if Data Connect doesn't have a connector, Dataflow will, and then we also have a lot of kind of more generalized approaches to get data into those tools. You do some design work, you port it to Integration Manager, which is your orchestration platform, and it can run and push data into your data warehouse. And then once that data is in your data warehouse, then all your data scientists and business analysts can slice it and dice it with their existing ecosystem tools, visualization tools, what have you, and do other things with it as well. Now, naturally, we would encourage you to look at Actian's Avalanche data warehouse because of the aforementioned hybrid cloud first blazing performance that you would get from Avalanche. And I think that is all for me. Shapa, do you want to say some closing words?
Thank you so much, Greg. That was a great overview. We'll take questions now. Oh, we got some questions in the chat. So Greg, this one's for you. You mentioned that Data Connect is part of Avalanche platform. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So Avalanche Connect is a term that we use to describe all of the connectivity options to get data into and out of Avalanche, the hybrid cloud data warehouse. That's the blue box there on the right-hand side. But it's more targeted towards analytics data warehousing use cases. And it includes Data Connect because a big part of the value that Data Connect brings is the data acquisition from those various sources that you see out on the left-hand side. And when for transactional workloads and that sort of thing, it's perfect for using a data integration tool. Dataflow is also part of Avalanche Connect, and it's, again, used more when you want to do some more quality or analytics on the data as you're bringing it into the platform. but it also includes connectors on the right-hand side. So we've actually built connectors for some of these other platforms and ecosystem tools. Think the visualization one in particular. So the business analyst circle, we have connectors that allow Tableau to plug into our Avalanche Cloud Data Warehouse. And so we don't consider those part of the Data Connect, obviously, but that's part of Avalanche Connect because it's a broader kind of universe, and it's more, again, more targeted towards the analytics data use case. But we're still selling Data Connect as a data integration platform for all of the typical kind of data integration use cases that we've always supported. So hopefully that answers the question.
Thanks, Greg. That was very helpful. We have another question. So you mentioned NIME as part of Dataflow, but NIME is made by another company. Are you planning to, what are you planning to do with NIME going forward?
So yeah, we partner with Nime. They have a pretty snazzy product in their own right, and they are squarely in the data science realm. But what we did with them is we partnered with them a while back, and their workbench, that Nime workbench, that's the lower box inside of the Data Connect green diagram there. It's an Eclipse-based platform. It's like called a rich client platform, I think, the exact same way that Data Connect uses the Eclipse rich client platform. So again, the two different environments they're fundamentally very similar, but again, they use kind of different use cases. And because Nime has been so good at it for so long, we're probably going to continue to use their platform in the near future as well. And they also have a lot of other operators that we don't provide. This is almost impossible to see in this diagram or this image, but there's the blue icons at the bottom of that picture represent the Actian provided operators. Everything above that are built by Nime and managed by Nime. So there's a lot of useful stuff that are in the combination of the two. But again, the unified UI, as it says right there on the screen, is Integration Manager. So regardless of how those jobs are defined, you can still run and manage and orchestrate them through Integration Manager in the same fashion.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Greg. That was great. Oh, another question just came up. Um, so they're not currently using Integration Manager. They're asking how they can get it.
Well, yeah, I guess that's one of those contact your sales rep ideas there. But it is interesting. It's kind of our featured product now for integration. Because of the fact that you can manage both of these other types of integration tools, but also because it's the platform, the orchestration platform that manages all the engines. So a lot of our version 9 customers say when they were in when they were in version 9 and they architected their own systems, they would build their own job management system, or they would use some kind of third-party scheduling tool. And so it is kind of interesting to me that a lot of those users haven't been exposed to it yet, but brings so much value to the table that I would highly recommend, just like I said, contact your sales rep and we can let you evaluate it or get you to kind of the next step so you can take a better look at it.
Thanks, Greg. Let's see. Oh, we have time for just one last question. So the last question is, you also talked about Avalanche platform approach and the unified UI. So I was wondering, do you have plans to sell these individual products separately going forward? Let me take that one, Greg.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's a great question. As you know, we are one of the few vendors in the market that have a very broad portfolio of data management as well as integration products. And we have a great hybrid story to tell. We have Data Connect on one hand, which is really a data fabric that will allow you to connect all our products together, whether it's Zen at the edge to Avalanche Cloud Data Warehouse in the cloud. So we believe that we have a very strong story to tell end to end. And we have a very strong install base for each of our products, and we'll continue to sell them separately. However, the Avalanche UI is going to be the way you access and consume each of our products going forward. But you will still have the flexibility to use it and buy it separately if you want to go that route. Hopefully that answers your question. Well, I think that's about it, and we really appreciate you taking the time to attend our session. We look forward to more questions. Please send us an email or put it in chat, and we'll get back to you. Thanks for your time today.
Yep, thanks everyone.